Many people, like I, about a year ago, considering to buy a hydroponic garden. In this video, based on my experience with several hydroponic gardens and years of growing plants in soil, I will explain what are pros and cons of each of those methods so you can select which one is most suitable for you. So where do plants grow faster, in hydroponic system or in soil? I have made several experiments and I must say that in hydroponic systems they grow faster, likely because there is a better availability and faster availability of the necessary nutrients for the plant. I have made an experiment where all the other conditions, including lighting, were absolutely the same, and it definitely grew faster in a hydroponic system. On what system you bought, it's likely that the light is incorporated. However, it's not always the case. So if the light is incorporated, it's usually calculated in a way that is suitable for most plants, and it also promotes faster growth. So compare hydroponic system with and without lights. The one with the lights would always win. Similarly, when you have pots, sometimes you do have lights, but sometimes you don't. So it's it's more variable that way. So one more for hydroponics. It has 6 slots for plants. However, there is another insert for about 20 plants, just specifically for seedlings. When you start seedlings, it's very important to ensure good combination of light, water, and nutrients availability. And hydroponic garden provides it quite well, so it can be an option to start seeds. Again, based on my experiments, definitely better and faster to start hydroponic garden with the seedlings. However, the question remains is how well those seedlings will be transplanted. Seedlings transplanted from soil to your garden soil usually survive and adapt much better, have less stress than plants which moved from hydroponic system to the garden. You need to try it in each particular situation, but in all those plants that I tried, the seedlings from soils were much better. So one for the soil plants. So what about the amount of work which you need to grow your plants in a hydroponic garden, which is like a full set solution versus pots? I would say hydroponic garden is definitely less because the key, I think, requirement for many plants is watering requirements, because the light you don't change as much, the nutrients probably also not that much, so watering is the most time consuming one. So if you water plants which are growing in soil, you have to regularly check unless you have an automatic watering system. Now here you don't have to check that often, depending on how big and how tall your plants, so how much water they evaporate. It can be anywhere between several days to several weeks. Hydroponic garden is so versatile. Does it mean that you can go on vacation and forget about plants? I would say depending on your vacation. If it's a very short vacation of, let's say, several days, then don't forget to put water, fertilizer, and you can go if you have hydroponic garden. But I would say in most cases it's similar with your potted plants. Now, can you leave for an extended period of time? Again, it depends on how mature your plants are. Once, when I have seedlings of tomatoes, I left for about 10 days, and when I came back, everything was completely dead, even though I put water and nutrients right before I left. So again, if you do have a watering system for the plants in pots, then it can be, depending on your watering system, is that you can leave your plants in pots for longer. I left for several months my plants in pots, and with my watering system they survived. Now here it all depends on the amount of water you have in a tank. There is now some solution where you can connect additional amount of water in a bottle, for example, when you are leaving. However, again, you need to experiment. You can't just buy it and then leave without experimenting before how long your plants can stay without you. What about type of plants that you can grow? We all know that in soil, depending on soil of course, but you can grow all the plants except those that don't need soil to grow. However, in hydroponics, while theoretically you can grow almost everything, even potatoes are now growing in a type of hydroponics, which is aeroponics. However, practically for home gardeners, there is a smaller variety of what you can grow. Those plants that show that they can grow well, it's mostly herbs, salads. Also, if you have a little bit more time and patience, you can grow pepper, tomatoes, and strawberries. Potentially you can also grow some flowers. There are more and more flowers now which were tested in hydroponics. A few which I tested didn't grow that well. So all in all, soil definitely wins. Another question which is very often promoted with the hydroponic gardens that have lights is that you can grow herbs and plants year round. Yes, it's true. Now, can you grow plants in pots year round? If you have an additional light, then yes, you can. If you do not have additional light, then only some plants would survive. So I would say that definitely it's a definite yes for a hydroponic system. It's less so yes for soil-based system, but it all depends on light. So I would not put any points to any of those two, because it's so much related to lights rather than anything else. Hydroponic gardens with lights also often promoted as controlled environment, because you have light, you have nutrient solution, you have pH, you have water. Everything is controlled as much as possible automatically. So is this true? Yes, it's true. What about soil-based system? You can also set up the same system with automatic lights, nutrients, pH. However, it will require generally some additional settings from you, buying different things. Here you have everything in one package. Whether it's good or not, I will let you decide. So again, no points to either of the two. Hydroponic gardens often promoted as a simple solution for people who never gardened, because the only thing you need to do generally is to take a pot, pre-packed pot, which very often with the seed, and obviously if you're a beginner you'll take one with the seed, and the only thing you need to know is to plant it, put some water and fertilizers, and switch on the light. Definitely it's much easier than growing in the garden with the soil, with potted soil. Therefore I'm giving one to the hydroponic garden, just for simplicity, specifically for beginners. Whether it's a good thing for people who like gardening, I do not know. Definitely it can be something as a solution which you have, or maybe 1, 2, depending on your needs. However, if you really like soil like I do, this feeling of gardening, of replanting, of looking how your plants are growing, I think it's somehow a little lost with hydroponic gardens. So for this I'll get one to the plants grown in pots, so beginners and professionals. Now, what about costs? There are two types of costs: initial costs and running costs. Let's look at initial costs first. Initial cost, if you are buying hydroponic solution which is fully set with the lights, with the pump, with everything you need, is more expensive than just buying pots. However, if you are just buying hydroponic solution without light, which is comparable to just having a pot, it's becoming quite cheap. And if you are comparing the full hydroponic solution with the plant pots plus automatic watering system plus light, everything of this needs to be calculated depending on the model. In some situation it can be that soil-based system might be more expensive, also because you need to buy some soil. And here we go to the running costs. If we are talking about hydroponic garden, then what we need is water, which is not that expensive, electricity, which is a little bit more expensive, and nutrient solution, which is very much comparable to what plants needs. It's usually soil for the plants, also water, electricity if you have a lamp, and fertilizing. However, the biggest cost, running cost of having hydroponic garden depends if you can make your own medium where you put your seeds, and also if you can buy seeds in a packet or specifically from the producers. If you're buying them from the producers, the cost is quite expensive. Also depends on solution, depends on producer, depends on the country. However, it's definitely more expensive than just buying seeds and planting them in soil. Yes, you can plant seeds in soil. Sorry, you can plant seeds directly in the pots that you buy, but the question is whether your systems that you're buying will allow you to imitate those pots without. So why I actually like, for example, this hydroponic, because what they have in a pot is actually a coir. You can buy those coir things separately, not from the producer, or you can even potentially make them yourselves. However, it's a little bit more difficult. So the cost of running AeroGarden, for example, compared to the Click and Grow, where they rely very much on the components of the fertilizer, which is exactly in this medium and which is more difficult to produce, so this one would win. However, it all depends on your needs, and it all depends on what you want to achieve. So I would say that comparing hydroponic system and and soil garden, hydroponic system would be most likely more expensive, most likely because of those pots with seeds.
And the most important question is, what about the taste? I think that the taste of plants grown in soil is much better than those grown in hydroponic, because they have access to all these thousands of nutrients that they cannot get during hydroponic growth, even if you are using a super organic fertilizer with best compositions that you can find. So I would definitely give extra 5 points for the taste to those plants grown in soil. However, if you only have one option, don't grow and buy stuff in a supermarket or grow your own in a hydroponic garden. I would definitely recommend you to start growing in a hydroponic garden. So the short answer to the question if you should grow plants in a soil-based system or in a hydroponic system is it depends.